To dress this fly, I'm using an Airex dry fly traditional barbless hook. For the silk, I'm using a vintage spool of Purcell's Hot Orange. For the hackle, I'm using a vintage grouse shoulder hackle taken from the 1930s. And it's important that the hackle is taken from the shoulder of a red grouse, which provides these lovely black speckled hackles. For the head of the fly, I'm using a single strand of peacock herl. Now, to dress the fly, come in and trap your silk in behind the eye of the hook with 5 tight turns of silk. Trim off the waist end, and now prepare your peacock herl by trimming off the brittle tip. Mount the herl on the hook with 4 nice tight turns of silk, and come in and trim off the waist end. Now take the herl in your fingers and simply bring the herl back towards the waiting silk in nice touching turns, creating a small and compact head to the fly. Secure the herl down with 3 tight turns of silk and trim off the waist tag of herl. Now take your grouse shoulder hackle and simply expose a small tip. I'm also going to strip off one side of the hackle, but it's up to you whether you want to strip the hackle or not. Now come in with your scissors and trim that hackle tip down to a small stump for tying in purposes. Secure the hackle down with 3 tight turns of silk, making sure it's trapped directly behind the peacock herl head. And now bring the silk turns down the hook shank, leaving the silk and a small gap between the tying in point and the final turn of silk. Now taking the hackle in your hackle pliers, take 3 wraps of hackle, working your way down towards the waiting silk. Trap the hackle down with 3 tight turns of silk. And now come in with your scissors and trim off the waist end of hackle. Now with your silk, bring it down the hook shank in tight touching turns, burying any tag of hackle. And you want to stop your silk somewhere between the point of the hook and the end of the barb. Once you're happy with the length of the body, bring your silk again in tight touching turns back up the hook shank to a point directly behind the hackle. Take your whip finish tool and form a small whip finish directly behind the hackle, ensuring you don't encroach on the hackle itself. Cut off your tying silk and give the hook eye a ping with your fingernail, and there you have the red Moorgame.